Hello and welcome to the Best Of. On the Best Of, we focus on the best in the area of sports. I'm your host, Ricky Tucker, better known as Coach RIX, Respect, Integrity, and Excellence. And I think, quite honestly, that even describes our guest today. He's none other than Mr. Stanley McNeil. Stanley McNeil is a sleeper, ladies and gentlemen. This young man is a former Harlem Globetrotter. Yes, I said Harlem Globetrotter. Mr. McNeil, thanks to the show. Thank you for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
Oh boy, I got really wound up on that one, didn't I? Just want to welcome you, and we're going to start right away finding out some things about you. So tell us some things about you. Tell us where you're from.
Okay, I'm here locally from Memphis, Tennessee. I grew up in the northern area of Memphis in Mitchell Heights.
Mitchell Heights. Mm-hmm. Okay. Now, I'm from Memphis as well, and I'm not really used to hearing that term, Mitchell Heights. So you're going to have to explain that a little bit better. Tell us where that is.
It's more kind of in the northern area, Summer Avenue, closer to University of Memphis, near Highland.
Okay.
It's originally called Highland Heights.
Oh.
The neighborhood is called Mitchell Heights.
Okay, now I think I've got my bearings straight. Well, one of the things that I would once again like to really dive in and start finding out some things about you. First of all, it's great to hear that we've got something in common. We're both from the Memphis area, so I'm excited about that. And quite honestly, I grew up not very far from where you grew up. You must have been on the nicer part of that area, so.
I don't think so.
Okay, so we're going to kind of unpack or unload this, if you will. I would like to at least remind our viewers about Coach Rick's Winners and what we do. We really focus on the ABCs. And as we talk a little bit further, we're going to find out, too, that you've actually embraced the ABCs and not necessarily even having talked with me about them. But our ABCs represents Bring Your A Game, Plan B, and career transition, because quite honestly, what we focus on, Mr. McNeil, is really helping our young athletes and their family members to be their best. So let's talk about it a little bit more. Now, Harlem Globetrotters. I mean, you look very young. I don't even know if I'm trying to think of, I don't think I've ever even thought of a Harlem Globetrotter being such a young guy. Yeah, so how long were you with them?
I played with them for a couple months.
Oh, wow. Yeah. So it sounds like even during that time, you just made an incredible impact on them. Now, I've seen 2-pointers, 3-pointers. Talk to me about this 4-point thing.
Yeah, I was a 4-point specialist. It's like 35 feet from the basket. Not an easy shot. I made it look easy.
Yeah.
It was a tough shot. A lot of practice, a lot of hard work, and you have to be a unique basketball player to, be in a position to make a shot like that.
Okay.
So it was a good experience. It was fun.
So you've said practice, you said hard work, and you said unique.
Yes, sir.
So you're thinking that those are the traits that's needed to be a Harlem Globetrotter.
Oh, yes, sir. And let me mention, character.
Oh, boy.
That's a big thing as far as with their organization. They like, a people type person, somebody that, loves to give back to the community, that loves to help people, love kids and things like this. So it was a great experience, and I met some great people out there during the process. Wow,
this is a learning experience because, quite honestly, even though we see the humor mixed with basketball, I'm not quite so sure I would have ever associated character with the Harlem Globetrotters. So that is really incredible. So, ladies and gentlemen, I think that's important. That's an important for us to understand that really the team embraces. So thank you for sharing that with us. So obviously you have reached the pinnacle, just something that some people could never even imagine, but you've been able to do that. So as a result of that, it looks like we've got some hardware here. Looks like something we have printed, and it's got your name on it.
Yes, sir.
So tell me about this.
Well, I'm the author of that book.
Wow.
It's called At Peace with My Dream, the game that changed my life. Pretty much a book, autobiography about myself, making it professionally in basketball, coming from poverty area, growing up, without a lot of things in life and pretty much making it to the top as far as education and professionally. And that little fella right there on the front is a big part of my story, that I guess we'll get into later as far as the reason I stopped.
Okay. Sounds real good. Boy, you lit up like a Christmas tree when you talked about that little fella, so we are going to talk about that some more. Tell me how you started this game of basketball and what is this all about?
Man, I started in the 6th grade. Growing up, I was one of those kids that I always got picked on. Didn't have many friends, but I was one of the guys that I always wanted to have a friend. And I was the nice guy, but growing up in the area, the tough area that I grew up in, it wasn't so easy to make friends. So, I had to figure out what way to get attention. And attention is a big word, dealing with my story because, growing up, I never had the attention as far as from, family and friends. So, with the game of basketball, once I got introduced to it, in the 6th grade in the PE class, and we was playing. It was an activity we was doing, and we was playing full court on. I think it was maybe an 8-foot goal, and we was playing, and I was dunking, and everybody was cheering on an 8-foot rim.
Wow.
But it was fun, and after I saw that, man, I can really get attention. And people was praising me after the game just, from putting the ball in the hoop. And once I saw that, man, I can really make friends just by being good at the game of basketball. That motivated me to get better and better, so it worked in my favor as far as, trying to build personality and friendships with people.
Wow, that's incredible. That's, to use a phrase that they used to use or we used to use some time ago, that is pretty deep. That's pretty introspective. So tell me some things too, because one of the A's of our Bring Your A game is athletics, but another is academics, another is association. So you've even touched on quite a few of those, but let's talk about that one trait that my big brother and one of my very best friends that I lost not very long ago talks about. He never ever said one of my athletes. It was always one of my student athletes. And you've talked about that inspiration. How do you feel, and from the 6th grade on, continuing to play basketball, did you continue to play, and where did you play?
Yes, I played in high school at Treadwell High School. After that, I continued my career at Jackson State Community College in Jackson, Tennessee. Did well there. Got another scholarship at Union University in Jackson, Tennessee as well. And after that, got my big dream as far as being a Harlem Globetrotter after that.
Now, you said that was your dream. Did you think in terms of becoming a Harlem Globetrotter when you were a little guy, or were you thinking in terms of just that professional level? And what advice would you give to a young person who's really pursuing that? Because, everybody thinks they're going to the league.
Yeah.
Everybody thinks they're going to the league. So where did you go to school? You said Union University, you played there. When you got done there, did you think, well, maybe I'm going to continue school, or I want to go to the pros? Yeah. What did you think?
Well, actually, my dream was to be an NBA basketball player. That's everybody, especially if you grow up in an area, where I grew up at, you want to make it to the NBA. But, I just, after meeting the Harlem Globetrotters organization, it's just as big. I didn't know. After playing with them, with the experience I had, it's probably more popular than the NBA actually, because they travel, worldwide, all around. And I just feel like as far as with kids, being a professional, with me becoming a professional athlete was great. I just feel like, NBA, Harlem Globetrotters, overseas, whatever I did, I accomplished the dream that I always wanted. So I take a lot of pride in letting people know that, I was a Harlem Globetrotter.
Yeah.
So,
I guess that's pretty sweet.
yes,
Now you are playing a sport that you love.
yes, sir.
You're doing it all over the world with guys that obviously you respect and have. Everybody has that common thread of character and integrity. What was tell me about one of the trips that you enjoyed the most. Where did you enjoy playing? Tell me one of them.
Man, I went to 1,000 places. If I had to pick one, I would say Toronto, Canada.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was a beautiful place, a great experience. The atmosphere was great. The people was great. just a different culture outside of, the U.S. It was a great experience. It was fun.
Wow. Awesome. So young people who are interested in really traveling the world and still playing, it kind of goes back to some of those practices that you've talked about. Practice, hard work, being unique, and having character. Now, tell me about the parallel between sports, and you've transitioned. Now, we're going to get to this fellow here in just a second, but tell us about some of the similarities that you experienced as an athlete, and now you're still playing the game some, but you're actually out in the business world. So what are some of the traits that you've seen that are pretty much the same?
Being a team, teamwork person, being a team player. I still hard work. I feel like giving 120% with everything I do. Everything I do, I've learned that through basketball. I mean,
Wow.
From starting from the bottom to the top. I just feel like if you work and you use hard work as one of your primary methods, you can do anything in life.
Awesome. That is awesome. So thanks. Now let's talk about why is it that you made a choice, and you made a choice to step away from the Globetrotters for now.
Yes,
so tell me why.
Well, it was a tough decision. Me growing up, I don't know my father. Never seen my father, never talked to him any form of fashion. So, growing up, it was tough. Growing up, not having, a male to teach you how to, change a tire or take you fishing, just things that you would do with your son. And, it was a very hurtful feeling. I told myself if I ever had a child, I never want him to experience or feel the way that I felt. So, with my son, getting big in basketball, and then he came, I feel like, we just got so close.
Yeah.
And I never thought nothing would defeat basketball. Basketball was my first love. It got me pretty much everything in life. And, something finally came and defeated the game that, pretty much made me a successful person, which was my son, Kelby McNeil.
Yeah, that's awesome. And when you say that with such pride. Ladies and gentlemen, I will tell you that our guest today is Mr. Stanley McNeil. Mr. McNeil is a former Harlem Globetrotter, and I will say that I think that the purpose for you is still incredible. If you'd like to get in contact with him, he can be reached at 901-417-0719. He can also be reached by email at Stanley, that's Stanley _McNeil at hotmail.com. He's also on Facebook and on Instagram. I'm Coach RIX, and I can be reached at 901-870-7492, and I too can be reached on Facebook. Okay, now let's get back down to some more business here. Now, we've got our book here, and tell us just a little bit more about your book.
Pretty much, it's about my son, me growing up, again, without a father, coming from a, hard background, pretty terrible neighborhood. With basketball, it just pretty much got me everything in life. It's an autobiography of, myself and, how I grew up, and, next thing you know, this little fella came along, and it allowed me to, give up the game that pretty much got me everything in life. And Kelby is 4 years old, and he's diagnosed with autism, something that I'm very passionate about. It's a difficult situation to deal with as a parent, but I feel like God gets some of his hardest battles to his strongest soldiers. So
I love that. Repeat that. You think God gives his hardest battles to some of his strongest soldiers?
yes, sir.
That's pretty deep. Have you heard that before?
I have.
All right. I like that. And obviously, you are a witness to that. So I'm excited about that. Now, we've got the book. Obviously, you've got more than one. And obviously, you are selling them.
Yes, sir.
So where can someone find the book?
You can find it on Amazon. You type in "At Peace with My Dream." It come right up. Barnes and Noble as well, online. So that's where you can purchase it at.
Well, Ms. Winston and Ms. McNeil Winston, we want to thank you for bringing us together. And the one problem with that, Mr. McNeil, is you're stuck with me for the rest of your life or the rest of my life. And what we're going to do is we're going to help to sell some of those books. And I want to meet that little fellow. And I think we've got a nice journey ahead of us. So I'm really excited about it. So obviously you're going to be having maybe book signings someplace. Where would you have one?
Yes, sir. My first official book signing would be at Madonna Learning Center.
Okay.
It's a school that pretty much deals with kids with disabilities, autism, Down syndrome, etc. It'll be October 1st from 2:30 to 6.
Okay.
And something that I didn't mention about my book is that, like I told you, I'm very passionate about autism, so I use my proceeds for donations. I'm donating a scholarship to a kid with autism at Madonna Learning Center, and I'm trying to do that. That's a big thing, and that's very, it means a lot to me to be able to do that for somebody else other than my son. So, awesome. I've learned in college to think about other people, more than you think about yourself, and that's something that I'm trying to do and inherit that in my son as well.
Awesome. Well, I tell you what, with the Coach RIX Winners team, and we are fortunate enough to have some of them in the studio, Mr. Tommy Thompson, we've got a member that we're just going to make sure that he's a part of this thing, and Mr. Tavis Gibson, Brother Tim, we've got Lawrence here in the studio, and even we have Coach Gwen. And so I think it's really going to be incredible to see what Ms. Winston is responsible for. She realized how awesome it was to bring everybody together. So let's talk about, again, one of the things that you really love the most about this game, because you're pretty laid back about it, but obviously there's got to be some intensity in that calm spirit of yours. What is it about this game that you really enjoy the most?
I just think, as far as just it made me a successful man. I mean, when you put everything together, I mean, growing up from where I grew up at, as far as with all the negativity and things, it actually kept me out of trouble because I was headed in different directions. But being in the gym till 9 o'clock at night, it was more of a safe place for me, to be at the gym. It was like home. It was my second home, and I mean, it pretty much just gave me everything in my life that I have today, including my son. If it wasn't for the game, my son wouldn't even be here. Me and his mom met in college. So.
Wow, that is awesome. Well, I tell you, so with having said that, what advice, I'm 58 years old, but let's just think if I were 13 years old, what advice would you give me?
I mean, as far as just a person, I mean, just never, whatever you want to do, I always believe in your dreams and never give up. I mean, me growing up, especially with the game of basketball, people always told me that I wouldn't make it. You're too small, too little. But, those type of things pretty much motivated me, inspired me. I loved when people told me, you're too little, you won't be able to do this, you won't be able to do that. And now look what happened.
Wow.
So
that's a good message too for young people, because with Coach RIX Winners, we see the winner in every child. We see the winner in every person, because everybody has a gift.
Yes.
And everybody has some music to play. So it was really great to hear you say that. And shame on the people who are naysayers. And it's people like you who prove that different. And the beauty of it is you've still got such a calm spirit as you say that. So let's say As we talk about your journey, I mean, you've moved ahead and you've been really transparent about some things. Tell me about some of the mistakes you think that maybe you would have made had you not really chosen athletics.
Ooh, wow. So I feel like, the attention thing that I mentioned earlier, I feel like the gangs would have probably won because in my neighborhood there was a lot of them. And, something that I was looking for was attention. I feel like God grabbed me just in time and threw a basketball in my heart and to, get your attention from that. So, I mean, I'm happy he did it because, with gangs, I mean, it's either two things: you either dead or in jail.
Wow.
And that's something that, I didn't want to witness. So.
In addition to professional basketball, this is the life and business coaching in me. If time or money were not an issue, and you could do anything else on the face of the globe, what would you do?
I feel like I got to coach it. I mean, basketball is my life. So, I mean, still today I'm a middle school assistant basketball coach at Douglas Middle. And I feel like, coaching it gives me a chance to help young boys, make it farther than what I made it. And it's something that, it's inspiring to me, and I love to motivate and help kids. So I feel like coaching was the perfect fit after actually playing basketball. So.
If you had to talk to parents, because we find with Coach RIX winners every Saturday morning, we've got Tommy, we've got Ronnie, we've got Nick, we've got people from around the country, Dr. Jenkins, Jimmy. We've got people from around the country, Brother Tim, and we're talking about just those things that impact our players. And then there are the parents. What advice would you give to parents? Because we've found that, and I've heard that and read through studies, that sometimes parents really put a lot of pressure on the children as it relates to athletics. Yeah. What advice would you give to them?
I mean, I would say never get comfortable with education. Always stay on them, use that priority and always allow that to come first, because without your education, you're nothing. And, I mean, it's something I've learned. I mean, yeah, I play professional basketball, but I'm actually working on a master's degree, and it's something that I take pride in now because, I mean, once I'm 50 years old or something, I mean, I won't be able to play anymore. Then, what do you fall back on? So I feel like education is the key in life, and it's something that parents should take, a big, major step in as far as helping their children with.
Wow.
Staying involved with it.
You're a man of many talents. So you're working on your master's, you have played the sport, and you've written a book.
Yes, sir.
We're going to have to see about really getting you out on the road, and I think there are a lot of people that need to hear, and we'll start with this because obviously this can go to some of the places that you've actually traveled. You've heard that, as this young man has said, going once again to the academics. That's really critical. Now, tell me, back again, I'm 13 years old. I think I want to go to the NBA, and I play okay. So tell me, what are some of the things that I really need to do from the standpoint of a coach? You really want to sow into the lives of young people. What would you tell them?
To always stay consistent. A lot of kids, as far as handling adversity, they give up. I mean, if I'm not doing something so well, I just let it go. I mean, if it's something that you love to do, then you keep going. I mean, don't allow people to, dictate your success or what you want to do in life. So I feel like, just continue to work, continue to grow, and, keep God first. So another thing.
Man, you are a wise young soul. You've got your priorities really straight, and that's pretty awesome. So I'd like to make sure that we stay connected so that we can see how we can have you to come into the fold with Coach RIX Winners, and we all go out and help to make a positive difference in the lives of our young people. And before we wind down a little bit more, I see some sneakers over there. Tell me a little bit about those.
These actually my game shoes when I played for the Harlem Globetrotters. It was something special to me. I wanted to keep them, and they're actually a gift from my son. Probably when he turned maybe 8, something that I want to pretty much give him. And it's a letter on it, as you can see, pretty much stating what happened. I made it, and I gave up the game for you.
Wow.
So
that's the ultimate sacrifice. That is incredible.
Yes, sir.
Fathers, you hear that? Uncles, caregivers, you hear that? I think that's really amazing. And once again, we want to make sure that everybody can get in contact with you. So a way to get in contact with you directly is by cell phone, 901-417-0719. You can also be reached on Facebook. We're going to ask people to like you on Facebook and join in, because we're going to be seeing some more of you. And you're also on Instagram.
Yes, sir.
As I've said before, I'm Ricky Tucker, Coach RIX, Respect, Integrity, and Excellence. And we too can be reached on Facebook, and we can be reached by phone at 901-870-7492. We are here once again with Mr. Stanley McNeil. Mr. McNeil, as we close down, you've said just some incredible things. I'm sure that you've got something else that really is a deep, to use that word again, phrase to share with people as we close out. So as we close the show out, if there was something that you could say to our young people, and you may even want to say it for the sake of, or say it to your son, what would that be?
I don't want to give too much of the book, but pretty much, growing up, and as I got older, I wasn't very close to God like I should have been. And that was something that, I just really didn't understand until one day I was going through, tough situations, and I was pretty much ready to end my life, And my son, I didn't mention he's nonverbal, he can't talk. And just before I was about to, take him home, and he spoke to me. It was amazing that he actually, he told me, Dad, I know it's tough, but I will be okay, and just keep believing, and God asked me to tell you this. And I just sat there and I cried for a second, and at that moment I knew that God had to be first in my life. Wow. Because I never put God first. I believed in God. I grew up in church, but it was never put God first. It was always basketball and other things as far as myself.
Wow.
So I feel like God used my son to allow me to become closer to him.
Wow.
So that was a great thing.
That's incredible. I knew you would give us something, but I didn't realize it would really be so incredible. So with that, I'd like to say thank you.
No problem.
Ladies and gentlemen, as I've said, we have been speaking with Mr. Stanley McNeil. He is an author. He is a professional basketball player. He is a Christian, but most of all, he is an incredible father. So with that, I'd say thank you. May God continue to bless you and keep you, and I know that He will. And thank you for your contribution. And I appreciate you for giving me the opportunity to talk with you today.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Alrighty.